All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Cymatics Show. Today we have Curtis King. Welcome aboard.
Man, thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited you're out here, man.
Yeah, you said you took a red eye?
Took a red eye, and this Atlanta weather hit me hard. So,
Oh, dude, it's
for
fucking
those who are
freezing.
used to me, they sound a certain way. Yeah, no, your cold hits a little bit different in California.
Yeah.
So when I
Where are
came
you
out
from?
here,
You're in LA?
San Diego.
Oh, okay.
San Diego. I couldn't live in LA. I mean, I love it because I
Dude,
grew
I
up
feel
here.
it.
But
I feel it, man.
For mental health and well-being, you guys know I'm big on that.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to be something that felt like almost like the country, but in California.
Mm-hmm.
And so the area that I'm staying in is that for me. And so to be able to have something like that, I just find it so much easier to create. So I'm just glad I have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, man. I got a house on 4 acres for that reason.
He told me, I was like,
I'm like,
Loki, want to go see?
I'm trying to be away from everybody out there.
Yeah.
But you want to tell us about like your credits and like kind of what all the stuff you've done, because you've done all kinds of crazy shit. Released a book.
Sure. So yeah, I just released a book the beginning of this year called The Prosperous Hip Hop Producer. It's my first book. And it all came off of the strength of my YouTube channel. I made a video called The Biggest Lie in Hip Hop where I talked about the disconnection between the older generation, okay, boomer, and the younger generation of hip hop. And I'm like, I felt like I was a middle-aged rapper / music producer, which is how I started, was as a rapper. I felt like I was in the middle, and I felt like there was good arguments on both sides why they didn't connect, but nobody was trying to connect them. Mm-hmm. So I tried to do that through my content, but I made a video. The video got the attention of the author, of the publisher, and they said, I think you have a book in you. And I was like, okay, maybe not now. I was like 32, 31 at the time. I'm 34 now. And, I thought that was like later in my life, I would start writing books about my journey. And man, it started off in a Word document. And I started adding more and more and kept adding. I mean, at first it was like a long Facebook post. Mm-hmm. It wasn't how you write a book.
Yeah.
So I had to go school myself and see, okay, make a table of contents. And so did that after a year, got the book done. And so that's definitely something that's a huge highlight. But in terms of credits, I work with Kendrick Lamar, Absol, brands like MTV, VH1, Levi's. I did an ad for Justin Timberlake. And Murs and a lot of West Coast artists.
That's fucking sick, man.
Yeah, I've had a journey that in Little Skies, like we just talked about, I found out that I had a Little Skies placement. But I'm thankful for having a journey that started off in the industry, but then landed me here, I guess, on the internet side of things, because this is where I really was able to own my own as an entrepreneur and understand how do I sell myself and understand how do I put all the marketing knowledge that I had got from, college and high school and things that I was interested in, how do I put that within a business model as a producer? And the combination of that, plus a focus on mental health, and launched my YouTube stuff and assisted my production career along the way.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, internet's been everything for us.
Man,
I think it's freedom. Like, that's the thing that me and Drew talk about. Like, dude, we get to wake up in the morning and do whatever the fuck we want. You know what I'm saying? We're not on this crazy tour schedule. Like, we still tour and travel to these big events, but like nothing's on this, like, we're not slave to the business that we're creating. I think I've seen artists do that where they build this awesome thing, but then they're also then slave to it, which
Because you have to perform or you're not making money. Stuff like that.
Very true. And I think that in the beginning, I also had the same misconception about what does freedom feel like? What is financial freedom? What is freedom for me as a producer? I thought it was, I confused it with variety. Mm-hmm. A lot of people who I think even probably even watching this right now think like, man, to be able to live like you guys, or to be able to have a career like Curtis and to be able to live where you live and just kind of just make music at your leisure, that's the ultimate freedom. But I think they're confused with thinking when I have the options to do things, it's almost like they're bargaining with their happiness. What I learned was that freedom is not what you have the option of. That's just called variety. Freedom is what you have the ability to say no to. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you guys today, if you don't want to necessarily do anything, it doesn't have to be a day off. You guys can make that decision because of the empire that you've already built. Mm-hmm. And so when I figured that aspect out, it helped me a lot to establish, okay, what am I able to say no to? Do I have to make beats every single day? That's not freedom. Did I buy a bunch of things that now I have to work at a certain level and make a certain amount of money? If that's the case, then I'm now arrested to those things, and I'm stuck in whatever I'm doing. So if I want to do something outside of the producer industry, it's a tremendous risk if I'm, a handcuffed to that. So I think understanding that aspect, which took me years to understand, really helped me along my journey, I think.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's super important.
Dude, I think that, so for everybody listening, the thing I'm already excited about this episode is that me and Drew talk a lot about the mindset that people need to have, but we don't ever actually talk about it publicly. We don't really make that many.
It's kind of hard to talk about in a short form type of it. You can't talk about it in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, right. But this episode, I'm actually excited to go deep on the different types of like things like lifestyle-wise, get your brain ready. Because like even what you just talked about, I would say even goes over a lot of people's heads because they don't understand. Because for a lot of people, they're still in that early stage. They haven't even got that small taste of success yet, but they don't realize that it changes once you start getting it, and then you got to start playing the game differently. And I think what you're talking about is spot on. And me and Drew are thankful every day that we're able to do what we want.
And I'll be honest with you. I used to be hesitant about sharing things like that because once again, you don't know how much of your audience is ready to on that level to understand it. But what I do know that the gift that somebody gave me early in my career was planting seeds. Planting seeds, even if I'm not ready to nourish those seeds and grow them properly at that time, there's so many times that I was exposed to something at 20 years old and I wasn't ready to put it into action until 32.
Yeah, but you still had that seed there. You had that thing inside you.
Yes,
I love that, man.
It's like you see it on a board and it's like everything points to, okay, that makes sense. That do this, you get to this destination. But actually putting it into action for yourself and figuring out if it's aligned with your purpose and your mission and all the things that we do as we start to evolve as human beings, we kind of get lost in the sauce with that. So I think it's still some value to having those conversations and at least planting the seeds. There's videos that I did in 2013 that people are like, I didn't agree with you then. I didn't like what you said. It's too close to home, but now I understand what you meant.
That's crazy. Yeah, Steven has a crazy story about that too from one of our events. You remember that one kid that was watching your live streams?
Oh, dude. So I used to do live streams on Facebook. One of the first things personal branding
like
wise.
50 people in them, 30 people.
I did them every single night. I probably did.
Not a lot of people.
I probably did 60 of them at least. You know what I'm saying? Just like literally live stream and just talk about whatever the fuck. Yeah. Dude, so this was 4 years ago and these kids are 18 or 19. Boost Collective, shout out to them. Dude, they were talking about like where they are revenue making like $50,000 a month or something like that. And he was like, dude, we were watching your live streams and got inspired 4 years ago. They're 14.
That's crazy.
14 or 15.
They've grown up with you. They literally grown up with you.
I know.
Like, what the fuck?
But that little thing, that little seed.
Does it make you feel a little old when you hear that?
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
I know I feel old when I hear that. I'm
Yes.
like, man, when I was in high school, man, like you raised me through my 4 years and now I'm graduating. I'm like, damn, how long have I been doing it?
Dude, I feel like people feel that way about Busy. Everybody's grandpa is like Busy, the grandpa of music. Not the grandpa. I'm not going to diss him like that, but he's an OG.
That's a diss. Like, I'm looking at him and I'm like, what kind of serum have you been taking that you've been holding off that you literally, you have not aged? And he's buffer. And I talked to him the other day. I was like,
he was pretty buff.
I know he's in great shape, man.
I was watching the episode you guys had with him, and I was like, how does he get younger by the years?
I know, but dude, everybody says like, even if they haven't watched his videos in 5 or 6 years, they're like, I started with Busy. Like he was the first FL Studio video I watched, and that shit is like huge, man.
And I mean, that's a blessing to be around long enough for people to be able to change their mind on you because, in marketing, and we know that's changed over the years, but it used to be somebody had to see something 7 times before they made a decision. It's probably like 14 times now because we're so bombarded with stuff, but you think about people who are personalities and you think about year to year, I'm sure you guys have seen people who skyrocketed. They were the man, and then, damn, homie.
Yeah.
They're gone. So to be able to have that longevity, because I remember when I first went to YouTube as a resource, it was nobody but War Beats.
That's a super throwback.
Remember War Beats?
That's before you started producing.
Yeah,
that was when I was like
I'm
13, 14.
Right but it's all good. Like I was looking for information on like now you put in how to slide an 808. Everybody. I learned how to it was funny. I learned how to hook up my drum pad on my MIDI keyboard to FL Studio from a 14-year-old on YouTube. And at first I was a little bit hesitant and a little bit embarrassed. And he was a little bit like snotty. He was like, so what you want to do? Oh man, hold on. okay, what you want to do is you want to plug this in and then push this button.
But they know what the fuck they're doing, bro.
This is a lot better than the guy that's trying to sell me the first 5 minutes on some download and then trying to run me through it. Like I felt like, you know what? This kid's getting me from point A to point B really fast.
Dude, that's what people need, man.
That's how Simon
that's
did
how
well.
you
I think Simon did
Yeah,
really
Simon
well.
Servita is killing it just
he
because
resonated.
Yeah, because dude, he makes like really good content that's perfect for people, and it's not like even dude, he's done tons of sponsored stuff for us. It's never felt like he's trying to sell people on stuff.
I tell him not to too. Like anytime we do promos with, I'm like, dude, you do your thing.
Like we want you to just make something with our stuff.
Make something that's cool without our promo, and then just you happen to be using.
And if you want to mention us, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, he does it so well too because I pay attention to that because like I said, I come from a marketing background. That was the first thing that I found that I was just as passionate about music, that I became just as passionate about marketing. And the idea of when somebody broke it down, somebody had a teacher, I'll talk about it in my book, and I brought copies for you guys, of course.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, sweet.
But there's a marketing teacher, brilliant mind. He actually had a lot of consultations for a lot of Hollywood stars in the 90s and then went to teaching in Orange County. And so I came into that classroom not knowing what to expect. I took one class because I couldn't get into music classes, like the MIDI class and all the stuff I wanted to get into. And I just took it because I was like, well, let's just check it out. And this guy told me, man, he broke down marketing in such simple terms. He said, marketing is how do I make my message the most clear to the people that need to hear it the most?
I like that.
When he broke that down, I was like, how do I make my message the most clear to the people that need to hear it the most? I was like, that's what marketing is, and not this stale word that gets thrown around under so many different umbrellas and trees. And so he told me that, and also things like lessons along the way, like don't get into business if you don't feel like your product can genuinely help people or help their journey, or you don't believe that, it's going to come through in your body language, it's going to come through in the layout of your product, it's going to come in the design. Some way, somehow, somebody who knows nothing about the back end from a consumer standpoint is going to look at that and say, I'm not buying from this guy.
That's what people feel about all those internet marketers we were talking about.
My gosh,
like the guys that are selling how to sell your course online, how to do this, how to get rich quick, basically. That's what
it's
people
copying
know.
Ty Lopez. They like rented a Lambo or some shit, making the video. Dude, you want to hear a funny one that they do? Like
What's that?
knuckleheads that don't know shit about audio. They rent a jet. I could tell they made a little money. They just probably dropped 20 G's on a jet. They don't realize how loud the jet is audio.
So and they don't have any. So
do these
their ad,
ads.
you can't hear them.
And they're talking, and the jet is so loud in there. You know what I'm saying? They have no plan for audio. And dude,
Like you don't have a lavalier mic? You can't.
No,
Yeah,
it's
no,
they
but
don't
it's-
even do that. They don't do
Yeah.
a lot. They do like I mean, dude, it's embarrassing. We've seen multiple people do this.
Yeah.
But you know what though? I laugh at that, but there is. I mean, I'm not gonna put any names out there, but there is some like producers that I don't even know where they're at now who did that. I'm on a beach. This is my beach house behind me.
Oh,
I do this full time
know.
selling beats online. Would you like to learn? And it's like
I know exactly what ad you're
you know what I'm talking about because I watched it and I was like, I'm young, but I'm not even that naive right now. Like I don't even know at that time I wasn't really an entrepreneur per se. I was a entrepreneur. I wanted to get into it, but I didn't even know what that looked like. And I watched that video and I was like, I know I'm getting sold to. But I was the kid who was obsessed with infomercials. Like I used to love watching infomercials as a kid. It sounds so crazy, but I watched infomercials because I just liked the fact that they found a way to make somebody like a 14-year-old kid care about a product that I didn't want any parts of. And it was the same formula. It was like
It's copy, man.
It's copy. That's why I love copy so much. They'll come in and they'll say, they'll give you like this. The funniest is when it's a black and white clip in the beginning, and it's like, oh no, and it's like somebody dumb, like somebody in a stupid way knocking over a tray table, and it's like, oh no,
Or an egg cracking all over the place. Egg cracks on like the floor.
like something obvious.
And
Like
again, science has proven, and they show some kind of science graph, and it's like, this is why you need a TV tray. It's like, oh, science needed to come.
And then
for
it goes back to color, and you can see
Call to
again,
action,
and
there you go.
it looks beautiful all of a sudden.
dude, you know what's funny though?
People are all happy.
Dude, I've studied a lot of old school ad copy.
Yeah.
Because, dude, there's so much. People don't know this is actually only the second time that I think copyright has been brought up. Because Gabe,
Yeah.
Yeah, but dude, people don't know how powerful that shit is. The words, man. Everything, social media, your ads.
We should
your
explain it a
emails.
little bit more, to be honest, because just saying copy is going to be really confusing.
For those of you guys who don't
Right.
know, just from the rest of the episode, copywriting is essentially persuasive languaging that you use in emails. But nowadays, it used to be used in ads and billboards, newspapers. But nowadays, it's used in social media.
Every single one of your Instagram posts should have good copy on it.
Yeah, good
It's down
copy.
to
It's
that.
just good writing. It's good communication of what your message truly is. And if you don't say it right, people aren't going to know what the fuck you're trying to promote, what the fuck you're, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why you get and shout out to Gabe, because I'm so glad to see, him and Anno, and then also what you guys are doing. You guys are pushing and setting the bar higher. Something that I have conversations with Busy all the time about when he, had his VST. I'm like, bro, set the bar higher in terms of what to expect from producers that are doing their own thing. I love that. And with Gabe and the funnels, I think it's amazing. But I started seeing producers who I was like, dang, we need to start teaching them copy, because they're all using the same emojis. I'm like, you got a whole page of emojis, same emojis, and it's like, get these 5 freebies, and then it's like rockets and fire and sparks, and I'm like, okay, but there's another way to have that conversation. So here's 2 things for those that are getting into copy and are about to go on a deep dive. Before you complicate things, something you just told me an hour ago, simplify. Think about it like this. With your copy, the most important part of the copy is the first 50 words. If you can latch somebody in the first 50 words, they are going to be hooked for the rest of it. Also, when you're writing your copies, don't think of it as you're writing to everybody. Hi, music producers, would you like to get this drum? That's not what it is. So I had a brilliant marketing mind. One of my mentors told me, before you write any copy, you need to see in your mind an avatar, a human being that you're talking to. Give him a name, give him clothes that he's wearing. Think about what kind of friend he is within his crew. Is he a leader? Is he somebody that is sort of the quiet one? Whatever it is, it'll make you start talking in your copy like, do you feel like you're slept on often? Do you come from a small town and You'll start talking differently, and you'll use the language that is necessary to really grab the right people. Because a product that's for everybody is for nobody. And I think a lot of people approach copy thinking like it's for everybody. And they're like, especially producers who are trying to get on the radar of rappers, they'll make copy that literally attracts other producers. It's to producer needs, if that makes sense. I think it's important. Copy, if you can get into it, it can become very fun. In the beginning, it can be overwhelming. But if you take those 2 tips, it'll be a lot easier to approach. It'll be fun. It's fun for me. I love it.
That's the first thing me and Steven did, was write down the
created
avatar.
our-
Literally,
Before
week 1,
Cymatics started.
before we started the site, anything, week 1. We weren't doing shit until we did that.
It was like, I wonder what his name, it was like Adam something, remember? It was something
was-
Adams. I forget his name. He was like a 20-year-old
James Adams or something like that.
20-year-old kid who was in school but didn't really like going to school. He was into music production. We painted this person. We even put a picture. We put a picture
This was
random
day
on the
one,
internet.
though, like,
And we're like,
literally.
this is who we're going after.
I used to Google images and see if I could find somebody that looks like it, just to make it more personal. It sounds
think we
crazy.
might have done
but I would
something like
Google
that at some
images and
point.
say, that's him. That's him. And doing that, I'm sure it does something psychologically that says, okay, here's how I approach this so that I'm not talking off. Would he resonate with this? And so I gave mine, was like James from the Midwest, some specific city in the Midwest, and James is the leader of his group. He's the one that always brings new ideas. His crew is a bunch of lackeys who are not motivated, but he's that guy. He doesn't buy a lot of name brand stuff, but he listens to Joe Rogan podcasts. He's somebody who consumes a lot of books. He spends more money on his education than he does on sometimes it's even his equipment or his self. And so when I zone in on that and had that conversation, people were like, even on my YouTube, I have the same approach. They're like, man, it's almost like you're inside my head. It's like, well,
kind of. A little bit.
So I think all that is important, but it'll come for the producers who feel overwhelmed by that. Like, God, I got to learn something else. I just learned funnels. Don't be overwhelmed by it. Just realize that everything is so connected that one thing will lead you to the other.
Everything builds on
Inevitably.
itself. That's why I think that even me sitting there for 3 hours and listening to music is still worth it. You get
Sure.
some kind of little foundational piece that I think is built up through the years that led us to this point. So,
And then too, we can't negate the fact that when we first started, this was a hobby. Even though we may have had aspirations to make it more than a hobby, you can't call it a profession if you're not a professional and you're not monetized, you're not selling anything. It's a hobby. There's nothing wrong. I think people have a bad idea about hobbies, but I'm actually in a place where I'm trying to turn my music creation back into a hobby and less of my business. Music education is more my business. That's what I'm good at doing, explaining and talking about the things that surround the music. But music itself, it can get, that's why I don't like doing live streams sometimes with my beats. It's a very intimate thing for me. I know it sounds like so like what is the word? What is the word? Like when somebody's a purist. I know I'm very purist, like Mr. Craft. But for me, it's like, I'm thankful I have the opportunity to sit down for practice again. Because I have a philosophy I got it from Stephen Pressfield, who made the War of Art. He says that every single time that you engage in what you do, it's practice. LeBron James in the championship is no less practice than practice with his team. Why? Because even the championship is practice for the next championship. He learned lessons from the first one that help him win the second one. And so going with that approach makes things more of an enjoyable experience. So for me, I enjoy the spiritual event of practice when I'm working on music. It's not something I always want a camera in my face, like, what VST is that? It's like, I don't know. I just want to have fun right now. And I don't know where this melody is going. I may not even use this melody loop. Or not loop, but the melody that I'm looping around. But I may change it and go find a contact library. I don't know. This is just my process. And people are so impatient on the internet. And I'm like, if you're that impatient with my beat, I can't imagine how you are with your own production.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people think about that wrong, man. It's like, it just doesn't even make sense to sit there and think that every single thing that you're going to do is going to be used for a thing.
Yeah.
Like imagine thinking like, I mean, you used to think that we all used to think this. Right. This song we made tonight. Yeah. This is it.
You don't want to hear
this is it.
There's some funny songs.
How many times have you done that in the past? I've done it when I was younger.
I started off as an artist, and I'm still.
You play it back, and you're like, I just made this is the one.
Yeah.
Everybody in the world is gonna love
everything.
And I think that thinking about it like that, every single thing that you do when you make that beat, it could be the next Old Town Road.
It may not be.
It may just be it might sit on your laptop for the rest of your life. But that's okay.
And that's why I approach everything as practice. Like that's why I keep pressing that forward, is that if you look at it all as practice, there is no day to prepare for. Why would you put all the pressure of your entire career upon this one person I'm meeting? If this happens, I can never recover from this. Are you kidding me? Yeah. What if Michael Jordan said, I love basketball. I love basketball analogies. What if Michael Jordan said, man, I didn't make the varsity squad. Maybe basketball is not for me. I worked all of my adolescence to get to this point, and I didn't make the varsity squad. Maybe I should just quit. That sounds ridiculous. But in terms of us, we have so much pressure because I think no producer, I guess, beyond the last 5 or 6 years expected to get into this and have to become an influencer in the process or become a social marketer, social media marketing, have to know that stuff. I know I didn't come into this. When I started I'm about to age myself, 2003 on a PlayStation, I wasn't making this like, man, I got to get good at this because one day I'm going to be in a live stream and there's going to be a 16-year-old that's going to clown me because I used too much sausage fattener. That wasn't in my mind. I just wanted to create. But now that we're here, it's important that you understand your craft for what it is. It's all practice. So if you have a bad day at practice, you practice tomorrow. If you have 10 bad days, it's okay. You have the ability to practice. The way that you get those special moments where you're talking about when you get the song and you're like, yo, this is the one, is literally not thinking about it, but sitting your butt down in the studio and saying, I'm working, and in the process, something happens. You're like, that was kind of hard. I never did that before.
I mean, that's what I like about the Old Town Road story, actually. It's because that Young Keo said that was a random beat that he made. It was sitting on his hard drive. He's like, oh, I might as well upload it.
That's crazy,
no one,
bro.
He's like, I didn't know what kind of type of beat this was, so I almost didn't want to upload it because it didn't have a type beat to it.
It only sold one copy, by the way. And it only sold one.
It's always those. It's always those. I've had beats that sat on my beat store for a year, and somebody's like, can I get that exclusively? And I'm like, it's at the bottom of the page for a reason, but I didn't say that. But I'm like, yeah, you want it? And they're like, yeah, here's what I can do. And I'm like, well, that was a lot more than I was going to ask for. So cool, let's go ahead and do it. But you never know. And I think because music is so subjective, music is something that everybody interprets differently. You know, you could be a producer that is terrible at sampling, but if you sample the right record and it resonates a memory in somebody who's like, dang, like, you sampled this Blink-182 song, and the first time I heard it was when I met my wife-to-be, and now as I'm a rapper, I want to sing over it. This is the perfect beat to get this over. It doesn't matter if the drums are smacking or all the things that we worry about. That resonates with them on a spiritual level. Mm-hmm. Who are you to say, because you think it's whack or it's old, it doesn't do something for them? So I think going in with the mentality that everything is practice, some days you have great days of practice. You hope that after you collect a bunch of different practices, that game day is like the best representation of all those practices. Mm-hmm. But even then, you never can have a bad show. You never have a bad studio session, because are you going to stop because you went to a rapper and he didn't pick any of your beats? No, this is what you do. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going with that approach helps me it's been helping me take the pressure off of the craft, because I think the more that I get successful with the business, I spend less and less time with the music. Mm-hmm. It makes me highly critical when I do sit down, because I'm used to a certain level of expectation.
That's interesting, man. Some deep shit right here.
Yeah. You know,
we haven't even asked. I haven't even asked you one question. We haven't asked. We have a list of questions, and we haven't asked one.
Hey, you got to stop me too, because like I get.
No, man. That's the point of this.
That's
the point of this.
We can do like lightning round. We can go straight through.
No, man. This is fucking awesome. It's just funny. We literally haven't had to. Usually we have to pull out some questions. We're just fucking going right now.
That's why I like the like, dude. I said this at the beginning. I knew it was going to go in a direction that just is not normal. You know.
Yeah.
You guys get me on a sick day, so I'm glad I can give you this energy today. Like Jordan in the flu game, man. I'm good.
So, what about like when you start your average day? You wake up. What do you do in the morning through the rest of the
daily
night?
routine?
So that's fluctuated over the years because of what the necessity was, what the focus was. Like when I was trying to go from my 700 square foot apartment to the 4,000 square foot house that we're in now, my wife and my son, my morning regimens were nothing. There was like, my regimens were trash, because all I could obsess of the morning I woke up was, we got to get into this house. This is too small for my wife and my son. Mm-hmm. My son was just born. I was like, we got to get out of here. And I want to move somewhere that is like away from everything. I needed to get like closer to like a country feeling. Mm-hmm. And I was obsessed. I had a picture of a type of home that I wanted to stay in. And so when I was in that mode, what I didn't recognize was that I was drunk with passion. And I say drunk for a reason. And that messed up my regimen. And it screwed me up when I finally did achieve my goal, because I put so much wear and tear on my body and on my mind that when I finally got to this place, it was like I could breathe, and it was like, okay, now you got to hang out with yourself. Because most of the time my mind was busy with, what does the business need? Mm-hmm. What kind of music am I creating that's going to help me elevate to this place to get to? Then I got there, and it was like, okay, free time. What does a producer like me do with free time? I don't want to make a beat right now. I'm tired. Like, it works so hard. And so it took me literally hitting a few different, like almost depressions, like hitting it's almost like a depression that comes after you succeeded a goal and you didn't line up another goal after it. Mm-hmm. Right? You obsess so much about making this certain amount, and then you get there and it's like, okay, the emotion, I mean, what I feel right now is not that different from what I felt. It's a momentary celebration, and boom. So I say this to say I had to hit my own sort of bottom, even at the top of where I'm at. And when I did that, that's when the morning regimen, everything shifted. So now I first wake up. First of all, my iPhone does never sleep in the same room as me. It can't happen. I know myself. As soon as I open up an email, my day's already started. Mm-hmm. And it started off with somebody else's energy. So somebody's complaining about, I didn't get this delivered, I'm going to do a chargeback. Let's not do that right now. Let me get my walk in first. And so what I do in the very, very morning is that, I get up, I thank God the fact that I have the ability to wake. I wake up with gratitude, and I drink water, and I just walk. I don't know how long I'm walking. There's no timer. Mm-hmm. I don't speed walk. I just walk. And I go out there because you guys understand it. And that's why I love talking to business-minded individuals. There's so much in your minds.
Mm-hmm. Hell yes.
So
Never
much
ending.
you could be doing, so much you have to do. And it's like, where do you get to dump that? And so I would just go out and just literally walk. Sometimes I bring music, sometimes I don't. And I would mentally kind of imagine me dumping the thoughts out on the street. Stuff I don't need. And I won't walk back home, not until my mind is clear, but until I'm clear on one thing I need to do. Mm-hmm. When I have that moment happen, it happens sometimes at 3 miles, 4 miles, I go back home. And then I double dab and I come home and I know exactly the one thing I need to do. But doing that, I still don't even get to work. I sit down and I journal. Like I'm effing Doug. Like I'm Doug. Like, dear journal. No, I sit there and I literally, once again, when you're out there, you can't stop your mind from thinking. It's not going to happen. So what you do is you dump the unnecessary thoughts, figure out the one thing, see if you have any epiphanies, and it happens every morning. And I'll journal it out. When I do that, I go into the studio or into my office with such a clear mind on what I need to achieve from the day. And it's not 12 things. It's probably 1 or 2 that I really need to do that can make this day well worth living, right? Or even better than that is a philosopher that says, make every day of your life worth dying. So I know it's probably dark for some people, but if you were to leave today, would you say, I gave this a hell of a run today. Like this is a good day to die. Mm-hmm. If you go with that mentality, you won't take life for granted. And so going with this regimen, it had to hit me when I fell to a low place. And this is not that long ago, to be honest with you, because I was trying to figure out like, man, okay, I'm 34. I'm tired of saying rappers and music producers in every damn video. I want to talk about things that I'm passionate about, philosophy. I want a podcast. I want these things, but is my audience into that? Will they care if I'm not talking about VSTs and plugins? And so I just had to get to a place where I was like, you know what? Since I was 17, I've always been in front of the camera. I need to go ghost, get hidden for a second, and let my thoughts just sit and be okay with not doing anything at all and not feeling guilty about it. So that's what I did. For the last 2 months, I've allowed myself to just be. And of course, I still got to do some work here and there, but that's once again the freedom of knowing that I have a business that generates income whether I show up to work or not. But there's a ceiling if I don't continue to work. So that's the long-winded of my morning regimen.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear, man. That's super interesting. I need to go for a fucking walk in the morning.
Well, dude,
you got such a beautiful scenery. I'm sure that
I do, but later in the day, I just like when I wake up, I'm just like I have a million things on my head, and I'm like right into it.
You know what? They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy, man? I've done that exact thing for the past 5 years.
Really?
So after my coffee at Starbucks, like Jordan knows this, I put in my headphones, I get some good music.
Yeah.
I just go walk.
See,
and
man,
dude,
like,
it clears. Like, dude, I don't even need that much time sometimes. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
3 songs, sometimes it's 10, depending on what's running. But just, I almost don't control my mind even.
Right.
It sounds weird. I just let it run.
That's good.
Because there's a lot of shit popping in. You know, I used to do this meditation too. It's called Headspace. You ever heard of that?
Yes,
It's an app. And that taught me a lot about like observing your mind and not trying to control it. I know it sounds weird shit for people listening.
No, but that's a perfect way to. I'm glad you're talking about this about meditation because people think that it's about clearing your mind out, and it's like, no, that's not what it is.
And it's crazy. I still remember back in the day doing this, and I would also journal.
Yeah.
And I still have these journals, and it's funny because I'm reading some of the goals about me and Drew and Cymatics.
You are.
And some we fucking smoked.
Yeah.
I'm
Like some of the goals are silly almost looking back on. We're like, we did that in the first 4 months.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, we smoked past these few, you know, but it's also funny seeing some things like this house. I wrote down literally a square footage of a house I wanted to buy, and it was almost identical, off by like 50 square feet.
Bro, it's the same thing
And I was
did
like,
for
what?
the house that we in. My wife, we were in a 700 square foot apartment, bro. Like, I don't know if people realize how small that is. But like
with a wife and a kid, maybe if you're by yourself, even that's small for by yourself.
But at the time, like I had got out of a long-term relationship, and it was just me. And it was like I have a space now that's dedicated to nothing but work. I don't even have a bed. A bed for what? I'm going to be working, and then I'll sleep on this couch, get up, brush my teeth, and work again. That was my mindset. And then I met my wife to be. Like you plan and God laughs. And my wife came into my life, and then I of course had to have her move in and because we had a young one on the way. And so that changed a lot for me. But to the T, what you're talking about, bro, we had in our minds 5-bedroom house. And I said, close your eyes. So my wife, close your eyes. And she'd be like, okay, what are we doing? I said, I want you to yell like you're yelling from the second floor or from the bottom floor, and I'm on the second floor in the studio, and I want you to tell me that dinner's ready. Like, instead of telling me dinner's ready, because like, duh, you can smell it. I can touch the kitchen and the bathroom from where I'm at, right? But I told her to do that. And here's an amazing thing about the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between sensations you feel that are based in reality and based in imagination. This is why we do visualization. Because your mind, your subconscious mind, its whole purpose is to protect you from pain. The pain of not having what you're imagining, the pain of whatever. So in that case, now your brain is saying, 5-bedroom house, but it doesn't make sense. You're in this space right now. Okay, what needs to get done to make that to happen? To a T, square footage and the amount of rooms. That's the house we got. And we almost took a house that had more rooms, and it was like, this is too much house for just the three of us. And it was like, we were almost leaning towards it, kind of desperate because we had to be out by December because the lease was up. And then I get a call in the house that I put in a request like 4 or 5 months before and said, you want to come see it? Within a week, we moved in there.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's it.
So you got to be, like anybody out there, you got to be specific. What Steven is saying is such a bar. You got to be specific about the goals you want. Like, you may be surprised about the money that you want to make. It's probably not that much. Like, a lot of folks from 35 to 80, you could have $3.2 million and live on $80,000 income. Please check my math. But you could do $80,000 worth of income every year. And I mean, that's $80,000 worth of income, having 3.2 or 3.6 million. I did the math. And that's it. It's not about getting the $50 million. We put these numbers out there based upon other people's accomplishments and blessings, but you may not necessarily need that. And I think it's important for people to understand the concept of enough. People get afraid of that. Like, man, does enough means I'm limiting myself? Am I just being content? No. You need to have the ability that a billionaire probably doesn't even have. A lot of billionaires don't have it. That's why a lot of them are depressed. There is no enough. Can you sit up a day amongst all these billions and be grateful? Ty Lopez talked about that. He said he was mentored by a billionaire, and he would be like, it's a beautiful morning. And the billionaire would be like, oh, well, I'm number 2 on the Forbes list. So
Oh, God.
it's pretty good. But it's like, even at that point, you're still dealing with that, like that petty stuff. So in that case, I started to realize, like, if you can find an enough number, not where you'll stop, but where you'll look and be able to smell the roses and be like, you know what? If today it ended, I will be happy. If you don't find happiness right now where you're at, it ain't gonna change when the commas in your bank account change. You're just gonna have more money to wipe your tears with.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So I don't like the mantra. People, I'd rather be crying in a Lamborghini than crying in a Honda. Fool, you still crying.
No, yeah. I mean, dude, Lil Uzi, and the only reason I talk about this because he put it out there publicly. He tweeted, "I've been buying up the world because I'm hurting inside."
Jeez,
and like, he just bought a $2 million Bugatti, and you can see he has a picture in his Bugatti or like a series of 3 pictures on Instagram, and he's just frowning in all of them. Just looks miserable.
People think that you buy it, and I don't say this to be any disrespect to him because that makes
No,
me,
I love him. I'm a huge fan. It makes me
sympathize with
sad.
that.
It makes me sad, man.
Because I'm like, who does he talk to? Who does he get to talk to? Who can he, like, there's only a one Tony Robbins who most of the celebrities go to when something's going on in their life. But that's where I think I'm kind of being pulled into that direction now, where I would like to talk to, you know, the little peeps before something happens.
Yeah,
I would like to be
definitely.
able to talk to a triple X before that whole situation went down, just to have these discussions that are like, people think that when you get to a certain level of success, it's going to solve all of the stuff that has happened. But I feel like when a producer starts really getting into that bag, I don't care what kind of childhood you've had, you need to put somewhere in your finances, get a therapist.
Yeah, for sure.
And why do I say that? Because people get all like, I don't need a therapist, I don't want to talk about my problems. Think of it like this. If I got a broken arm right now, or if I think I broke my arm, what are you going to tell me to do?
Go to the doctor.
Okay? You may even give me some ice. And then if I say I don't think it's broken and it feels better in 2 hours, we're good. How do you measure injuries of the brain?
Yeah, it's very hard.
And how do we know when it's over? How do we know when it's healed?
Some people don't even know they're in it.
Come on. So I think it's important to get a professional that's unbiased that can say, that was a traumatic experience. Like, was it? I didn't think it was traumatic. But it's important to have somebody. That's why I'm 34, finally getting through an app called BetterHelp. I have a therapist that I can talk to via FaceTime within the app. and I'm able to like not unload everything on her, but at least explain how I'm feeling and why that's not connected to my success. Because I feel like I should be significantly happier about the things that are happening, but there's a disconnect. And being able to talk it through with somebody, they're able to say, you know, that problem that you had in 2017 is still with you?
Yeah.
Even worse than that, the one you had at 9 years old that you thought you got over, you just, you need to address that, or that's going to hinder future business deals. That's going to hinder the way that you do business, because you'll think, I've been screwed over my whole life. What's another person screwing over somebody else in business? But you won't think of it as you being an asshole. And so I suggest any producer out there, man, if you have the opportunity, and I think it's only like $200 a month to talk to this person every single week, do it, man. Do it, because your mind is the ultimate bag. Money will come and go, right? You're a few lawsuits away from this whole thing being flipped on his head. So it's important that's why I do the kind of content I do. It's important.
I love that, man.
Dude, you know why I like that a lot is because I see a lot of veteran producers who sit in their room all day. And they work hard making music, but there's no other life or anything else supporting them, and they get depressed. It's really common.
There's no light in the studios.
Yeah, I think that's actually a huge thing that we talked to Reese Safan, the puppet, about just getting outside every single day. I mean, he starts his day. He said every day he gets up and gets in the hot tub. Like does pull-ups. They have a beautiful house in like up in the hills of Malibu, with a view, and they get in the hot tub every morning, hang out, him and his girlfriend, get exercise every day. He does jujitsu 4 times a week. He goes surfing every morning. Like, he's just on it. Like, and that shit, I can tell being around him, you just feel it. You know what I mean?
The food you're putting in your body.
Even that.
And we start the day like sugar, carb, and wonder why our bodies, like, we wake up at 7 and they're crashed by 12. And it's like, I don't feel like making a beat. I'll never forget, I had a studio session. It's gonna be the most stereotypical cliche thing y'all have ever heard from a black producer. But I had a session where my buddy was like, man, you should make a jug of Kool-Aid. I'm almost embarrassed to talk about it. He's like, make a jug of Kool-Aid. We made it. We was like, man, we're going to have so much energy in this studio session. Oh, God. We poured some cups, and like 2 cups in, he was like, I don't feel like doing nothing, man.
Could you feel like was like, shit, man.
He was listening to the beat, and it went from being into the beat to...
Yeah, you crash, man.
He was like, man, I can't work on those songs. So we put that sugar into our body, and they get that initial high, and we're like, damn, it's not sustainable. Well, how about instead of trying to put like this, terrible food, just try to get us. If you have a juice it up next to you, you have no excuse. Like, go get a shot of wheatgrass, get a cranberry chaser, go in there and get greens in your system. There's a reason. Greens are life. You're putting life inside of your life. Do it. Take advantage of that. Your body will thank you. You're gonna do a lot of pooping, but you'll be thankful that your body is light. But you gotta do that because it all matters. How you do one thing is how you do everything, in my opinion. So it's so important. But what you were talking about with the hot tub, Tony Robbins talks about. He used to hate doing consultations over the phone. It wasn't his, not hated, but it wasn't his most enjoyable part of his day. He said, how can I enjoy this more? He took his cordless phone at the time. He didn't have a cell phone. And he started doing them from his hot tub.
That does sound awesome. Yeah. I think I'm going to have to get a hot tub soon.
I was thinking about getting a hot tub.
You got to do it. Just let me know when it's time. Right? I'll be more healed by that time. But that's the thing about it. So here's how it relates to a producer. What if you're a producer that's like, you got a bedroom that you're working in? This is why we buy lights and buy the LED stuff that we have in there, or buy our producer feng shui. That's what it's for. Mm-hmm. It's for this to feel like an oasis, for it to feel like, man, this is a vacation even though I'm working. I think that's important.
Yeah, definitely. You want to talk about, I had a question. Where is it?
I got a good one.
What about warning signs when you work with somebody?
Yeah.
Like when you're like, oh, this guy throws me off. Like what we were talking about a little bit, you can kind of sense it in the first minute or two, of meeting somebody. What are some that you look out for?
So from me spending the beginning part of my career in the industry, there's a lot of things I got to learn the hard way. Mm-hmm. A lot of folks, I have my horror stories, but I don't wear them as a badge of honor. I'm thankful for them because They put me in a place to where, like you said, you can read people better. I think that you got to beware of the people who give you the one-stop shop. I can solve all of your problems. Mm-hmm. It's almost like in the old TV shows, the charlatan that comes into the town. He's like, I have this medicine that can solve every ailment in your body. And it's like, I don't know about that, fam. There's people in the industry who are like, let me be your manager. And it's like, you're so excited somebody wants to work with you. It's like, have you listened to my music? I heard a few things. And I like, if you're not passionate about the product, you're going to kill more business than help more business. So I think be wary of those people who are like, I'm going to solve everything for you. Also, make sure that you are working with people who don't confuse their passion with their purpose. Passion fuels purpose sometimes, but passion is not purpose. Mm-hmm. I had a big mistake with that personally, but here you'll meet somebody who's like fired up. Yo, you're the most fired producer I ever heard. Oh my God, like I think you're gonna be the next so-and-so. You can be amazing, but they don't have the skill set that matches their enthusiasm, their excitement. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important that you find somebody that's like, this is my purpose. My purpose is to bring a certain sound that I fully believe in. I think you're the person that is going to bring that. I know you're the person who's going to bring it forward. They're going to do things for you that an average manager is not going to do. Mm-hmm. You want somebody doing the bare minimum. So I think just people that you meet, who to work with. You don't want people you don't want to work with people who always have to bargain for you to be less than yourself. And what I mean by that is people will, you get in a studio session with a rapper and he's like, man, send me them stems, send me the beats. And it's like, I can do that. And I'm old school about it. And I know a lot of producers. Like I saw a producer recently that was like, you don't talk business in the first studio session. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. Mm-hmm. I think that if you set that tone in the beginning, you can't be mad when that song pops up. If you don't set it in the beginning, you can't be mad when that song pops up on SoundCloud or pops up on the streaming sites and you haven't even been cut a split sheet or anything like that. That's on you. That's not the rapper. That's on you.
We talk about this a ton, man. Setting the tone. Even with like the guy that we're trying out there, Matt, he's great. But like we're very specific. Like, hey, we're trying you out on freelance work. We're setting the tone that we're gonna need to expect certain things. We're gonna expect you to not do certain things, and like day one, they should know that shit every time.
You gotta do it because if this is your baby. This is your business, and everybody's not gonna have the same passion for your baby. But it doesn't mean that they won't do a bang-up job. You just want to make sure you know what their purpose is. Because I've had people, my thing is, it's almost like a double-edged sword. I attract a lot of future entrepreneurs that want to work for me.
Yeah.
So they'll come in for a hot second, they'll absorb, and they're like, man, I'm so inspired to go make my own thing.
Dude, that's so funny.
And it's funny because usually every time we have a good
opinion. We have a good opinion.
I'm curious.
We see this all the time, even recently with employees.
It happens
all the time, and they usually come in. They get excited about seeing how well we're doing, but they're not seeing the 4 years of foundation that we laid up until this point. So they're jumping in, trying to start where we are right now.
See something real quick.
For example, we're killing on Instagram right now. Instagram is my 1 out of 10 focus, if
that's
that.
Crazy.
You know what I mean?
So well on it. You got to do so well on it.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
But it's like my 1 out, like it's not my main thing at all. But they think, oh, I'm just gonna go kill it on Instagram, and that's the business.
They see behind the curtain once, and they think they're good. But what they don't realize is, like even when I meet people that are higher level than me, if I see something, I'm like, oh, I really want to do this. I also like try to take the approach of like being realistic with a time frame. Like if people really want to copy our model and work for us, the answer is more like, okay, let me go work for them for 5 years.
Not just try to jump
50
in.
days.
Or if they want to do it, they got to be studying the right people at the very least, like we were. But
and then so
we're not the right people to study, though. I want to say, like we aren't the guys.
So pretty much,
I think you are. My mind is
okay, but I'm saying
like
we're looking at the people that are at 200 million, 1 billion a year.
As you should.
We're not looking at the other people that are at 10 million a year in the music industry.
Because then you're getting a watered down version of a watered down version.
Yeah, because we are the watered down version.
We're a watered down version.
We're working towards that.
It's almost like multiple windows that people at different levels of success are peeking in, and then they're coming back like, oh, that's what they're doing. Let me share this now. And then people are like, oh my God, I want to be on that level of the window, or that side of the window, not realizing there's like 15 other windows where people are really making the money. And a lot of them, here's something I didn't realize and this is something I kind of struggle with, and I'm kind of looking at you guys for direction on that too, is the balance between the social media push and the actual back end of the back end. Because there's a front end of the back end.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody comes and works for you guys, they see the setup and they're like, oh my God, like, but they don't see, like you said, what Gary Vee calls the dirt. They don't see, they're looking at it like, oh my God, like this is, okay, I can kind of see myself, doing something. Okay, they don't understand this is just the front end of the back end.
Exactly.
And there's still a back end of the back end where the business gets really, really like detailed. And they don't have any idea, they don't have an idea of that. And so when I see that, I'm just like, it makes me more patient and more open to want to hear the philosophy. That's why I was asking you guys so many questions when I got in here, because it's inspiring, but I know this is only a fraction of what it requires to do what you guys have been doing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is really looking at the stuff behind the scenes, like you're saying, because that's what's driving it, man. Like people will try to copy, for example, our emails. Copying our email copy isn't going to do anything for you. That it might help you get started. It might get you started. You can get started and maybe sell a couple copies of your product copying our emails.
Yeah.
But the psychology behind the entire launch and the strategy is the thing.
Something that messes the whole thing up.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
a big mistake that rookie people do is they don't know what to copy, right?
Yeah.
So then you start seeing
Including us.
Including us, yeah.
sometimes. We've
Anybody
done it.
who's looking from the outside, you kind of don't know what's the real, like, I need to copy this part of the
Sure,
strategy because you're
sure.
seeing all these things.
Right.
And for us, a big thing that people thought was like a key to our success was, I kid you not, copying our product boxes.
Wow.
Like the same layout with the
And our
stripe.
product boxes sucked.
We
And
don't like-
we
we don't
finally
even like
changed
them,
them.
you know
Thank
what I'm
God.
saying?
Thank God we got them changed.
But still, that's not what you should have been worrying about. You know what I'm saying?
People shouldn't copy if they don't know the why. Because you may be looking at certain things like for instance, I talked to BusyWorks about this, is that he always talks about how he doesn't like his YouTube thumbnails. He's like, I aspire to do something different. But if I was a young producer and I was like, this is an OG who's making you don't want to copy him at year 9 and 10 because he's doing things for a completely different reason. It's executing on something that you have no idea is the importance for him. And you're copying that thinking like, that's the way to do it. And I guess it makes sense for somebody on the outside looking in, but once again, you're only getting a fraction of that. So no, I think it's okay for people to, even like Gary Vee, it's funny how many people, and I know you guys have talked about working with him a lot, but it's funny how many people are not like us who know what his actual business is. They think that he's just on social media and he's just a social media
a
guy.
motivational speaker.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
I'm like,
dumbest thing I see.
Dude,
You
we don't
have
even know that.
VaynerMedia building to be just a motivational
No.
speaker.
Dude, we don't the amount of corporate shit that goes down that he doesn't say a word about.
Yeah.
But every
Pitches.
time we go there, every time we go there, there's a new list of companies. So they used to have it is a big wall. It says VaynerAct and then all the companies, right, that are below them.
Yeah.
They had to change it because they were so tired of adding on companies. They had to change
They
it
had to
to
keep
a
repainting.
screen.
That's nuts.
They kept repainting it so often because they kept adding companies on
That's
that
nuts.
often. There's like
But-
10 under there.
And it's funny because I tweeted it one time. I had the epiphany. I was like, I don't think Gary Vee's creating this content just for you to hyper consume or just for you to copy it and not ask yourself, well, why do I need to do this? And he was like, thank you, or agreed, I think he put in a tweet. And when you start realizing, like you said, people are presenting this to you, but it's almost like he's hiding in plain sight. Like you see him all the time, but people don't realize the team that is just the social media team. The
Bro,
people who are
just
creating
as-
this micro, he's not sitting there in front of Adobe Premiere like, okay, oh yeah, this red bar that goes across, I gotta change it to green. He's not doing that.
No.
But I think people, because he's so relatable, feel like he's got a hand in everything. But when people realize that aspect of it, and they realize, oh, it's about having a system. It's about figuring out, how do I delegate to people who are in a passion zone for this one task, and not in, like, if I do video editing, I'm in a distraction zone.
Yes.
I'm above average than most people edit, and I'm pretty good at it, but I'm not a video editor.
Yeah.
But if I can find somebody who takes this task from my distraction zone, it gives me more time to focus on my passion zone, and it puts it in somebody's hands that it's in their passion zone to edit, which is who my editor is from New York. Like he loves this stuff. So it's important that as you go along, like I said, maybe you don't need to delegate quite yet in the very beginning if you're there, but keep this in mind. This is important.
Dude, you know what's funny? The Gary, so one of the driving mechanisms I actually think is a North Star more than a strategy individual thing.
Okay.
And his North Star that's kind of based around all the content he does, and it's the reason he separated himself versus other great entrepreneurs who are trying. I think a lot of other people, like these internet marketers are talking about, a lot of people make content with a conversion in mind. Okay, at
including
the end of
us
this video,
back in the day.
Go check out this thing. You know what I'm saying? Every piece of content is leading to that, and he truly does not worry about that.
Yeah. I rarely see that content that doesn't that leads to something for him. It's usually something that's purely, I hope you guys get something out of this.
So and then so what happens is he gets a lot of these metrics that you can't see, I think, in my opinion. So like how do you measure something on paper that's like, you know, sign holder, you know, starts $1 million company with his friend. Like, how do you measure that if you were looking at the data? You can't.
Right.
But that's what his content does. So, like, when you put out content at scale without the purpose of conversion, somebody's going to listen to this shit.
Yeah.
And it'll change your life, man.
You said there was 3 people who were, like, kind of feeling depressed that heard this and was inspired.
Yeah.
And, you know, but there's no, like, okay, and then we're going to sell them on the course. That's going to
Yeah.
Well, you don't have, at that point, I don't have to sell anything. Like people can name the amount of times I actually put an ad on my own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
If I'm doing the work, if I'm showing up, and that's why I say my philosophy is how you do one thing is how you do everything. I believe in that 1,000% because if I show up and I'm of value and this is in a free platform and I keep showing up like that, eventually I'm going to ask. It's the same thing that happened with me when I got exposed to Grant Cardone for the first time. And I read, like I got the audiobook for 10X Rule and I was like, this dude's crazy. But when I first heard the unabridged version, I was like, this dude's crazy. Then I followed him on Instagram. Still never bought anything except for the audiobook. And I started watching his content. I probably watched 40, 50 videos before I bought, like, I think his book, Closing the Deal, or one of the books that I bought. I didn't read it, but I bought it. That was the first thing I even bought from him. And I think a lot of producers, man, they go and sell so hard. Everything is direct sale. Everything is call to action, not realizing, as you know, Gary Vee talks about, jab, 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 right hook is more than just a cute saying. Like that is a lifestyle. And my thing is, I think this is kind of the flip side of it, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I got so obsessed with jabbing that I never right hook.
That's not good either, too.
That's not, right?
Some people struggle with that, too, for sure.
That's lucky. We got a fucking nasty right hook, I would say, business-wise.
Yeah.
And now
you do. Yeah,
it allows us to, like, you know, do these big product launches and then just jab like fucking crazy.
Yeah, y'all want to take a quick intermission?
Yeah.
All good. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Sweet.
Favorite
And we're back from our quick intermission. I got a question I think would be a great start based on our conversation. What top books would you, maybe top 5 books would you recommend for producers maybe to go check out?
So the one that got me on my YouTube journey, the one that got me on my YouTube journey was The Go-Giver, which it just opened up my mind.
Dude, that you just brought back a fucking dinosaur, bro. That was one of the first business things I've ever touched was The Go-Giver.
Isn't it good you started with that one, though?
Is that about hitting the target, and the target is the
Well, no, it's the one that's the fictional story. The fictional story of basically telling you what value, like really defining value, what it is, and how to approach business, and how this fictional character, not to give it away, but how this fictional character found an alternative route to his goal that he learned the secret to living is giving. And when I understood that aspect, it helped me understand that's what Gary means with jab. Because I think people immediately say, I don't want to give free. Like, when do I get paid for some of this stuff? But that's the wrong mentality to have.
Yeah.
If you just have a culture of giving within your business or within your philosophy, your mindset, you know, there's ways that can hurt you, obviously, like anything. But if you have that at the forefront, that book, man, it opened up what that was. I realized, like, this is why I've had a certain level of success as an artist and a producer before I read that. And then I was like, man, okay, so that sent me on a rabbit hole that got me to a podcast called Entrepreneurs on Fire.
Dude,
John Lee Dumas.
Dude, we go on the same path, man. I'm like, this
man.
same
You're
shit. I'm
right
like
here.
The Go-Giver, John Lee Dumas.
So the Go-Giver teaches you the value of giving. John Lee Dumas, at that time, he changed the format, obviously, now, but he used to ask, like, millionaires the same questions every single episode. I got addicted to it. It's only a 30-minute podcast. And he would ask them, the one I always interested in was, what are your streams of revenue? And every single one of them, from the mom that made $1 million selling salt from her kitchen to the guy that owns multiple bars and is every single person said that at least one of the streams of revenue was teaching. And I was like, how could they have the time to teach? But the rappers and or the producers in our community at that time, teaching was kind of like a taboo thing. Like, oh, I don't want to teach. So they thought this is something you do when you haven't made it at that time. Is what it was. It was like, oh, the guys teach you couldn't do. And so that book was the one that unleashed it. And then that podcast led me down it. And then it led an onslaught of books. The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, the unabridged version. I love it because he got a chapter in there that's called Don't Be a Little Bitch. It's one of my favorite ones.
I know exactly what you're talking
Gotta
about.
have that. And so the 10X Rule, the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. The matter of fact, I got my audiobooks in here. There's stuff I already have.
By the way, Audible guys, if you want to get into books, like Audible just lets you download them, kind of like a Netflix. Highly suggest getting. I'm sure you.
And
use
it's
it, right?
on your Amazon account already.
Yeah, get Audible.
And you can also get the Curtis King book. They're on Audible if you're.
You're on Audible.
Yes,
so I want to talk to you about that book too. By
for
the
sure.
way. Definitely.
The 4-hour work.
We have a book cover already made and a plan for a book.
We
Really?
just haven't written it, but the book
we
cover's
just haven't had
sitting
time.
there. Yeah.
Do it, man. And start off with the table of contents if you haven't already. It makes everything so much easier. Because when I first started, like I said, I was making a bunch of Facebook posts. It was like a long Facebook post after another. And then I finally put the table of contents because the book itself, man, like it's crazy because it's separated by the process of making a beat. So I take you through different stories of my life, but it starts off with the kick. What does the kick represent? To me, the kick represents the heart of your beat, right? It's like the heartbeat of it. Well, where does my foundation start? Where my heart starts? My mother, my father, my mother playing the piano in the church. And so throughout the book, like there's QR codes that you'll read a story and you'll be like, damn, that must have been a crazy beat battle. And then you pull out your phone and the QR scanner will take you to the video. You can watch the battle after you've read about it. So it's things like that because I wrote the table of contents first, that unleashed other ideas along the way, that structured it and made it so much or so less overwhelming of a task. Because writing a book is not easy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And having a great editor, oh my God, if you're gonna pay money for anything.
I mean, we're not gonna
editor.
sit down and physically.
We're gonna talk it.
Yeah, we're gonna talk it.
You should,
You know, that's Gary. Gary has never written any of his books. He
But you
talks
can tell
them out.
by the way the books are structured. It's more conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And that's that's what we want to do. It's like
That's fire.
I think it's gonna be awesome, man.
Is there
I'm
any ones you
excited.
got off your Audible?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry about it. Yeah, when you guys do that, let me know because I'm definitely on board to continue to talk about those. Tony Robbins, there's a lot of books that I love by him, but Unleash the Power Within or Unlimited Power, excuse me, what it is. Another one, The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. Hug Your Haters. It's about basically how to embrace compliments or complaints.
We should talk about
and
that a
keep
little
your
bit.
customers. And keep your customers.
Just about dealing with haters, man. I think it's fucking huge, and a lot of people struggle with it. It's something that I struggled with horribly a few years ago, and I've gotten so good with it now that I don't even blink at it.
What do you attribute getting so good to it? Like, what do you attribute that to? Like, how do you think you became?
Every single time you get one and don't do that response, you grow stronger with it, and then eventually it starts not affecting you after a while. But when you do when you feed into it, it makes it way fucking worse.
Man,
I have a different strategy. I believe in the sympathy punch. So when somebody comes with
You don't do
anger or
that.
something,
You have to block certain people or
Oh, no, certain people,
do you
but-
delete comments at all?
Yeah, I'll delete
Yeah.
comments, dude. I mean, honestly, man. So there's a restrict feature on Instagram now where they go into an echo chamber. They don't even
Really?
they comment.
Drew has that. I don't have that.
Yeah, it's a new feature. So
Let me find out.
It rolls
check
out
if you
features
have-
randomly.
So
All I
they
need
can
right
still
now
follow you.
All I
and-
need right now is an inbox feature that stops people from inboxing me.
Oh,
that would be amazing for like a month, just a month.
Do you not wait? Do you have on a business account? Because you have the other inbox, right?
I've gone from
Or
I
like
got the general to the primary.
Yeah.
I go from creator account to business account to see what the different features are. But I'm back at a business account right now.
It's the same shit, man.
Same
Yeah,
thing,
it's basically the same. But yeah, I mean, I just don't. I mean, yeah, I think that's a great approach too. Just being nice to them.
Throws
But-
off somebody when they're really a dick and
Yeah.
they're being an asshole. And I'm like, so sorry, man. You know, it was just blah blah. And they're like, oh, my bad. I didn't mean to.
Yeah,
I
they'll
was just-
apologize to you for
I was
sure.
angry, or you know.
But then the other thing is, I think like long term, like figuring out how you can not even feed into it in any way, whether it's positive or negative. Like,
Right.
dude, staying even, like not getting too high, too low, staying right there
We see
is so
extremes,
fucking hard.
Like shout out to the homie DJ Payne. Like it's funny how many times he had to text me and be like, bro, like I don't know if he was saying it because it's me, but he was like, man, you can't argue with these folks. Cause I would be like, what do you mean? Like, I care. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to scam you. Why would you come to me with that? Like, I'm the guy that's been jabbing for the last 5 years because I'm selling one thing. Now, all of a sudden, I sold out, and I'm like, wait a minute. So DJ Painter texts me like, man, bro, like, you can't argue with these people. But then I look on Twitter, and he's arguing back and forth with everybody. And it's getting like, I'm like, bro.
Dude, people should not be, do not argue back and forth on Twitter.
Like,
it makes you look way worse than you think.
But it's part of some people's business model, too, because we're talking about it right now. And I know I don't believe in any publicity is good publicity. I can't, that's not how I can live on.
Tekashi. Now look at him.
Yikes. Yeah, that's...
Also, another thing with that me and Drew kind of see a problem. People think they're cool because if you're an influencer, you have an army next to you, and you say some shit that normally would just make you look like a shithead, but you get a lot of likes because, and that person feels like all high and mighty, and that's like,
validated,
but like, guess what? Other people are looking at you not thinking that. Like, I don't give a fuck how many likes or comment guy. If you roasted somebody, you might look like a shithead.
When I see that, I just automatically think something
gives
about
a
somebody.
shit.
I also don't want to give light to these people. I'm not going to say his name, but this is the part like of the producer community. I have so much love for producers. They should know that by now. Like, I've even with my private community, I did like about 330 hours of daily workshops for 6 months when I first launched it.
Damn.
Every day, Monday through Friday, just for like $19.95 at that time, was daily workshops that centered on FL Studio workshops, songwriting workshops, mental health Mondays, new artist producer Fridays. Like, I was doing all this every single week, 4 or 5 hours a day at sometimes. Right now I have archive footage that will last you. It would take you 13 days to watch all of them, 4 days. And I spent a lot of time with the producers, and I have such a bigger love for them. But it makes me, on the other end, I get irritated sometimes with my producer community because they get a lot of them get it, and maybe it's just human beings, but I've experienced it as a lot of producers get in a dark place, and all they know how to do is spread poison at that point in time. I had a guy that didn't even speak poison to me because they didn't know I just mute. I mute and peace out. And if they still keep showing up, I just block. I'm like, let me take you out of your own misery. Like, people will be like, if this is the kind of content you're doing, I'm out. You're trash, bro. Then why are you here?
Yeah,
that's my question.
Don't comment and leave.
But I had a guy, exactly, that's what I do. When I don't like something, I don't even hit the dislike because it feels like it's too much energy.
Yeah.
And so I had a guy that went to my wife's page. My wife is like a makeup artist. Like, she like has blown up. She's bigger on Twitter than I am with her makeup. And she grew really fast. And this producer, man, with a Beats on his name. And I tell her, anytime somebody Beats follows you, you're free to block them. Because there's no, like, they try to like slide in her DMs like, you're really dope, but could you tell Curtis, like, does he still do like critique my beats? And she's like, why are you hitting me up about this? God. But a guy went to her page on Twitter and was like, girls still do their makeup like this, and put like clown emojis or something. And I lit his ass up. Like, I had a day where I wasn't like, rappers and music producers, I lit his ass up. And then some people jumped in there, but I'm like, that's the kind of vile stuff that makes me not even want to be on social media sometimes, because not that I'm running away from it, but because I'm not here for that. I didn't start doing this, but I'm here now. And so after reading a book called Obstacle is the Way, I'm sorry, I didn't even mention him, Ryan Holiday, I ran through 3 of his books in the last month. Fire. Ego is the enemy, stillness is the key, and obstacle is the way. And he talks about not running away from the obstacles, but embracing them and literally sitting in them and seeing the benefit within a crisis. So I look at these producers now as an opportunity to have a teachable moment, if I want to exert that energy. Or I give them the opportunity to show them how unbothered I am and how focused I am on what I'm doing. Because so many of them, it takes them like a year before they stop trolling and they say, I had you wrong. Like, literally by enduring time and continuing to produce high quality content, they'll go from, bro, you're trying to be like Gary Vee so bad, or, bro, some guy told me, that's why I keep going back to that. He's like, too much sausage fattener on this one, bro. Like, what? Like, get out of here or leave. But you'll get to a place where after time, and I'm learning patience with this, people eventually get to a place where they're like, you know what? You're real, I guess is what they do. I don't need the validation. I just keep working. And so now my thing is, if it's clown stuff, if it's too disrespectful, I just block you. There's no reason for you to be here.
Yeah.
And just keep it moving. But for the most part, I love the mute feature.
I love the mute is like, it's basically the restrict, except for that when they comment on your stuff, it's just it's an echo chamber.
Like
Yeah,
they commented.
They commented. I can
there.
see it.
Yeah.
They can see it. And even it ends up being mostly bad comments. When they come back and do another one, I press C restricted comment. It's almost always bad comments. But sometimes they'll be like, "This is so dope. I can't wait to get your next pack." And I'm like, "Oh shit, this person that I might have blocked before is actually a fan, but they're just a cynical fan." And there's a lot of those too.
Can I break this down? I just wrote this as this is going to be a YouTube video idea, but I'm not going to go into much detail. I feel like every troll falls into at least 6 or 7 categories. Okay? Stay woke, Joe. Right? Stay woke. Bro, you're selling out. Do it for the love. That's that guy. Hot take Jake.
Oh god.
Right? The guy that jumps in and he's like using this plugin with this plugin. It seems pretty stupid to me. Or he'll just find a hot take to go on like, seems like you're starting to sell out from the last 3 videos. That guy. Devil's Advocate Adam. Okay? That's the guy that just plays the opposites of everything. I'm just saying Aiden. Right? I'm just doing because it rhymes in a lot of these names. Just saying Aiden. He'll say something that is so passive aggressive. He'll be like, I'm just saying, bro. No hate.
No hate
love what
though.
you're doing.
Hey, I'm not trying to hate
hate
on you, but here's all this hate.
This beat is trash, but I'm not hating.
I got 2 more. Switch and pitch Rick. The guy that comes in and he's like, your drums sound too overcompressed when I'm using them. But by the way, I sell drum kits too. And if you guys ever want to get some, he's basically selling to your audience, and he switched the attention from yours.
This is interesting, man. I've never even thought about it like
I know
this.
these, though.
But they're
You've
definitely
heard
they're
all
like
the
archetypes.
avatars.
Yeah.
Last one. I don't care, Claire. Why are you here? I come to the page and be like, nobody cares about this stuff, bro. You cared enough to comment on this. So those are if I can now look at the categories of trolling, it helps me almost feel more empathy for them.
Yeah, that's
I'm
a huge thing, man.
You don't realize that you're not as unique as you think you are for leaving this comment. I mean, you are unique in the sense that it's more memorable, unfortunately, the negativity, because it spreads faster. But if I can categorize you, you're not so much special anymore. So I do that. You can change the name. Anybody can change the names. But I do that because I look at it and I'm like, oh, you're a hot take Jake, huh? Okay.
I actually like the
That's
idea
funny.
of that. It kind of takes the power away from them.
I would even draw a funny character in the office.
Fire. You got to do it.
We
Yeah,
just
put
have
up on
art.
the
We might
wall.
do that in the support room when we have the new office. We just have an entire wall of artwork that's all these people represented, so everybody that's doing email support
Dude,
can know
straight
what's
up,
going
some
on.
of the best paying customers also are the biggest complainers.
Sure. Oh,
sometimes.
yeah. Yeah. Because they feel like they have invested with you, and therefore
We
they have
appreciate
more.
it. That's not a coming from a place of non
Right.
appreciation, but there's usually something like always being like nitpicked
But
around. You know,
here's the flip side of it. Although, yes, you want to be as a business, you must be focused on developing customer service. It's about to be at the forefront. That's why Amazon is so huge. The people who were stubborn, like if you're afraid to adjust, you're going to get crushed. Kodak, Blockbuster. If you're afraid to adjust, the market is just, you can get crushed. And so you have to have customer service at the forefront. But, something I learned from BusyWorks, you have to be at a place where you're okay with, as a business owner, firing your customers sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing to say.
No.
Sometimes you got to let somebody go and sacrifice that money and say, you know what? It would not be to the best service because I like to deliver a high quality service. If you're that unhappy with what I'm delivering to you, I don't think you should purchase from me. And I'm actually going to make it so where you don't have to purchase from me. If you have that many complaints, and it's not even like a reactionary thing. It's, I want to deliver so much great service, even if it means on my dollar, I lose money. Then they start switching up like, well, I don't hate it that much.
Dude, that's huge for
wanted somebody to
producers
watch.
and mix engineers. Like, I think producers are willing to just like sell a beat to the big guy that might be whatever, but he might be a shithead that's about to face 20 years in federal prison. Like, you don't
never know what people are going through.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. I think you definitely got to be, or like mix engineers, especially, or if you're a recording engineer, you have to be willing to fire singers and artists because otherwise you're gonna end up bogging yourself down with some dickhead that just kills your vibe.
that also
every
doesn't
single day.
appreciate you probably.
Yeah.
And how about this one? And I keep going back to the whole death thing only because I feel like it humbles us in the present moment to appreciate what's going on. But I've been to like one of my buddies, man, he went by Fats. He passed away at 35, and he had a heart attack. He had a family. He had a wife. He had a newborn baby, and it broke my heart, because I saw this man give to so many different people, give to so many people around him. Like, he was providing clothes for like a lot of, like, at that time it was like jerk music, to a lot of the jerk artists that were making music at the time. He was providing free clothes, of course, to help his brand along the way, but he helped so many different people, family and whatnot. And so many of those people in the industry didn't show up to his funeral. So on the day that you are saying your last goodbyes, this person that came and provided you, obviously something you found value in. Obviously, I've seen him spend hours and hours on Photoshop or Illustrator trying to make their logos. He's a graphic designer, really fire graphic designer. He makes some logos for me, even lived with me for a second. And to go there and look around, and I'm like, I didn't want to have those feelings. I wanted to be, in mourning for him. But it made me realize, like a lot of people we meet probably won't even show up on your last day.
Yeah.
And a lot of people we're saying yes to, and we feel obligated to say yes to. I saw in a book called The Slight Edge, they said that that I think that the stat is like only 2 out of 10, I forget the exact stat, of people at your entire funeral, 2 out of 10 are actually going to cry. Do you know that 50% of people there won't even go to your burial if it starts raining? Really? So I say this not to be morbid. I say this to say, in this moment, you don't have to say yes to everyone because it's not a make or break. And then, too, keep in mind the people who matter the most to you. Your inner circle, your friends, your family, the people who are really going to be there and really be hurt by your exit from this world. When I saw it from that perspective, it gave me peace to understand, like, it's okay to say no. It's not going to be a make or break. If I don't, even people who are like elites. Yeah. Like there's been times that, not to put any business out there, that still I haven't worked with my brother Ab-Soul for some years, but there's some things on the business end we haven't taken care of, that I haven't taken care of with like TDE. We've never had a discussion. And for me, I had to say no, even though those are great opportunities for me to get placements with them. I had to say no. And that's my brother. And so I came into making music with at a very, early age. But because I have that much respect for myself and my business, I have to be able to say no, even if it's opportunities that can make it night and day for what I'm doing. And that gives me peace because I'm more so concerned about stretching myself out there for people who are going to be there on my last day. Yeah, that's important to me. And I think having that mindset will help you eliminate so many people that you're feeling like, man, I gotta stress my body and my mind out for this person. It's like, bro, will they even care if you're not here anymore? Will they send an RIP post on Twitter and then forget about you in a week? So that flips everything.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Gary talks about that shit a lot.
We should wrap it up.
The armchair philosophy, I think he calls it, or I forget what he calls it, but the rocking chair.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that, like, the most famous Prince, whoever gets a day or two max on social media, it's gone. It's done.
Yeah, we should wrap it up because I got to get back to work. But do you want to do a giveaway?
Yeah, let's do a giveaway.
And then
plugs.
We're gonna go into
Let's do plugs first.
Quick round.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and plug where you want people to go check you out more?
So I simplified it at my website, CurtisKingBeats.com, and you're gonna be able to see all the courses that I offer. You're gonna be able to see my book. You're going to see, like, I took my beat store down because I'm starting to restructure the business. But just go to CurtisKingBeats.com. I have music up there for streaming. I have a new course that I just released for those of you that aspire to generate income on YouTube. It's a lot more attainable than you think. It's not based upon just pure views and comments. And you'll be surprised of so many channels that are generating income with a similar system to what I am teaching in this thing called GrowTube King. So you go to CurtisKingBeats.com, Curtis King with 2 S's. You'll be able to have access to that, have my drum kits there and anything else that you're into. But YouTube is a great place also to find more videos with topics like we talked about today. But that's pretty much it. CurtisKingBeats.com will send you everywhere you need to go.
Sweet, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to have to check out your book, too.
Yeah, and
I got copies for you, sure.
just a quick thing for people watching this, like me and Drew have investing in your knowledge, stuff like what you're talking about, even Curtis's book or YouTube course, GrowTube.
Right.
That shit is one of the best investments. Anything that invests right here into your brain, that's the fucking move. So
I appreciate that, man.
yeah, I just want to let people know that like stuff like that, it's always, don't think of it as like you don't know if it's worth it or not, because just how plugins, VSTs is worth it, it's just as worth it investing in stuff that helps your brain.
Last thing I'll say, stop. I think producers don't ask anymore, is a product worth it? Ask yourself, are you worth the risk? If you start approaching it from that aspect, stop thinking about what I'm going to lose and start thinking about what I could possibly gain in this situation, it'll flip your mind. Instead of saying, I have to pay this money, say, I get to. Flip that on everything. It's the gratefulness code. And I'm telling you, you'll get more benefit from the things that you purchase and realize, like, I'm pretty sure you guys will spend a gang of money on education alone.
Yeah.
So get used to it. It's going to happen.
I mean, dude, just from Neil Patel, we spent $100,000 for.
Come on, man.
That's for consulting. That's for talking to somebody every few days, or not even every few days. Talking to Neil every once in a while. Talking to his assistants and like his employees a couple times a week to learn. $100,000. It was $25,000 a month for 4 months.
We continually think that's one of the most important investments, is investing in like that, like higher level, getting access.
And mentors, honestly, investing and getting access to mentors. Like, say for example, if you went to the Gary V 4Ds thing, by the way, it's cheaper in like Chattanooga and stuff. It's only like $8,000 there.
Really?
Yeah, or like $6,000 or something. So, so like, I mean, if you can scrape up the money to go to stuff like that, or even going to a conference, like going to see Grant Cardone speak live. Like, I'm not even a huge Grant Cardone fan, but I know if I went and saw him speak live, I would get a lot out of it.
Unleash the Power Within for Tony Robbins. I walked on fire, bro. I walked on hot coals.
So you went to that?
I went to that twice.
Worth it?
I went to it twice. Right? Like, at the time, $700 was a lot of money to me. And I paid for a general admission, $700. And I had to go again. And literally everything. It sounds dramatic to say my life changed, but literally everything I got home, I stopped eating meat. That wasn't even like the main focus. I changed my business dramatically, and that wasn't even the main focus of everything. But knowing man, I'm telling you, it changed my life. I know you got to go, but it changed everything for me. Yeah. Last thing I'll say, what you said earlier.
We're gonna do a little quick like lightning round.
We got time?
Yeah, we got. I'm gonna go until like another 10 minutes. But
so we're gonna go ahead and switch, guys. You're watching this on YouTube.
We should do giveaway if we're going to.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to give away some stuff too? Do you want like a couple copies of whatever? And then we're gonna do like we usually do gift cards.
We do $500 gift cards. You got something?
You could do gift cards too if you want. That's it.
How about this? I'll lace you guys with all the volumes of drums, Big Drums Knock by Curtis King. All my drum kits.
That's perfect.
I'll lace it in one download.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, let's do a copy of that, and then
$5 $100 gift cards and a copy of that. So all you got to do to enter the contest is on YouTube, just drop a comment about what your favorite moment was, maybe a concept that Curtis was talking about, and it's awesome. We go back and read every comment, so really appreciate that.
Fire.
And probably next episode, me and Drew, because we've been doing a lot of contests we haven't announced yet, we're gonna go back.
Yeah, we got to do a solo episode, but when we do, it's like reading off like a lottery.
It's like
we're just for like 20 minutes just reading off names. And I'm just sitting over there. Steven's like, and the winner of this giveaway is
Johnny 39.
Jack, we rolling. Yeah, all right, exactly. Your number's coming up.
That would be fun actually to do a giveaway like that in person. We should add that to the events.
That's
like a little.
What the event.
The
ball. A little way was like that. Even doing.
I think the ball makes it more hype though when you're watching the balls come out of the lottery. Have you watched it?
We're gonna have some production questions in the lightning round. You got to check it out on Spotify, SoundCloud, or the Apple Podcast app. So we're going there.